The thing is, Ocho, is that I'm a firm believer. You never judge a man by where he's standing because you don't know how far he's come. See, you look at the man that's laying on the street, but how about what if he was under the bridge just yesterday? See, you judge a man by where he's standing, not knowing where he came from. You see, a lot of people say, well, Shannon, it's easy for you to say that because you this, but you didn't see from 1968 to 1988. See, that's what you didn't see. And you didn't see Shannon go to bed hungry. And you didn't see Shannon not take a bath. And you didn't see Shannon get rained on. And you didn't see his granny crying, asking, what am I going to pay for today? Do I keep the lights on so you can do your homework? Or do I keep the phone connected so we can call somebody if there's an emergency? What am I going to do this month? So while you judging me for what I am now, do you know where I came from? Then did you know how long it took me to get here? See, all you see is my successes, but you didn't see the delayed opportunity that was missed.
Now I will never be your hater, I'm your biggest fan. I hope it falls into place just how you planned it. Life could put you in a pickle, just make sure it's kosher. Lean on me like Bill Withers until you smell the roses. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving, man. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail, but more importantly, you saw the clip, man. Google the book first so you can find it on Amazon. Man, shout out to Shannon Sharp, Uncle Shay. We got to talk about this because, and I'm gonna say, he's older than me, probably by maybe a decade or some change. I'm 44, and what he's saying resonates with me because a lot like history in our lifetime is different. You know, some of us we grew up in certain circumstances and we're far removed from where we came from. We're not, maybe we're not millionaires, we're not famous, we're not multimillionaires. You get what I'm saying? But from where we started to where we're at, you think some people are content. Maybe some people are. You think some people are comfortable. Maybe they are. But compared to where they started, it's like, dog, whether you like it or not, I still won and I'm still winning. And people go, nah, man, you haven't done enough. And it's like, let me get this right. Let me run this down to you. When I think of where my grandparents, how my grandparents lived in their starting point, and in my parents' starting point, and in my starting point, my grandparents would be proud. You get what I'm saying? My parents, are proud. Like I grew up in a generation that's probably the same as his, where a lot of our families, you know, I would say the 90s, maybe 80s, 90s, that was, I would hear a lot, this the first person to go to college or the first person to graduate from college, or, you get what I'm saying? That was then. You know, people were, our grandparents were sharecroppers and went to war, at 17, 18 years old, dropped out of school in the, third, fourth, fifth grade, to help out the family, like, that type of life, dealt with, was living in Jim Crow. You get what I mean? Um, work for their land. Land was stolen. Work for their homes. Homes were stolen. Um, family who lived in the projects. Let's just yeah, you woke up with roaches and rats. Yeah, you went to bed hungry. Yeah, you know, you ran out of toilet paper and and crumbled up newspaper to soften it up. Yeah, you use baking soda for your deodorant and baking soda for your toothpaste. You know what I mean? Yeah, you did that. Yeah, yeah. It might have been roaches in the cereal box and you had to pluck them out. Yeah, you did that. You know, sometimes the heat was off or the lights was off or the hot water was off. Yeah, yeah, that happened. Whatever. Um, you walked everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You caught the bus if you didn't walk everywhere. You got you went to the you went your grandparents sent you to the store to get food for the house, and they wanted their change back. You steal from them, you got a problem. You shouldn't steal from them in the first place. But yeah, that was a reality. Yeah, yeah, you watched them. They prayed for you. They cried for you. You watched them suffer. And some of the beauty of it was some of our grandparents got to see their grandchildren do extraordinary things in their lifetime before they died. And they could say, I started here and my grandbaby is here. Look at God. Who would have ever thought that? You get what I'm saying? Who would have ever thought that? Um just it's gotta be said, man. Some people didn't finish high school. Some people got pregnant, got kicked out of high school. You get what I'm saying? So they graduated like at an alternative school, or you know, or people went right into the workforce. You, at 17, 18 years old, because it is what it is. And like I'm gonna say this, my grandfather was one of the people that dropped out, like third, fourth, fifth grade to help the family. My grandmother had about 15, I want to say 15 kids. Only four of them actually lived, and one of those died at the age of 2. That's on one side of the family. You know, just my grandparents. I could go further back, but I'm not gonna do that. Um, my grandfather actually came from a pretty well-off family, um, who were business oriented. So he was a Huxtable before the Huxtables, but he was, a wanderer. He was, one of the people that just, since, daddy got it, so I'm gonna just do whatever kind of person. He was aloof. Hate to say that, but that's what it was. Grandmother came from a family where her dad, my great granddad, died when she was like 9 years old of cancer. And she had to be the big sister, not necessarily the father figure, but she had to, you know, watch her younger siblings while her mother started to have to, work for the family or whatever. So my granddad went to the Korean War. My other granddad was a merchant marine. And the one thing I never forget is this. My grandfather, who was in the Korean War, never got to see his grandkids really, because he died of a stroke. He got to see him early, but he had a stroke and then died. So he never got to see what they would become. But my grandmother did. And I used to live with my grandmother. I lived with one as I got older a little bit. And I never forget this. One of the best moments I ever had in life was making my grandfather, who was basically bedridden, laugh because my cousin wanted to put wanted to make a milkshake in a blender and leave the top off, and it splashed everywhere. And the reason why I think about that is because I remember him breaking down crying at a time because he couldn't move. You know what I'm saying? And I think about success in the same sense he's talking about, where one of the places I grew up, when nobody would take me home if I played sports in high school. Friends wouldn't. They couldn't come over there. because the block was very hot. Let's just say it that way. And I remember my father coming when I graduated high school, and he looked around. He was like, "You live here? Look like, look like somebody dropped a bomb over here." It wasn't. I didn't think it was that bad until I went back. It looks better now, but at the time it was like, oh dang, I didn't. It's harsh. West side of Chicago. It is what it is. Um, but to go from there to where I'm at now seems light years away. And I remember my mother talking to me about a story with my stepfather, and he's from like Mississippi, and they were in their house in Chicago on on the outskirts of Chicago, a nice house, and he was in that mode. He was like, "Yo, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do that. We can't lose." And my mother stopped him and said, "Look around, look at where we're at, look at this house, look at how we're living. We won." And the reason why I think about that is because it took him a minute to go, dang, because we want celebrity success and we forget, where were you living at when you were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? How were you living when you was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Like we was poor, but you didn't know it. It was the 80s, like poor, but we didn't know it because we had a good time, you know. But now some of y'all don't realize people whether you know it or not, when people look at where they came from, there are people out here like, I'm successful as a mug. I know where I started. You could say you ain't done enough. You're like, everything after I did this was just a cherry on top. Because I know where I started, I know where my parents started, I know where my grandparents started. Everywhere I go from this point on is a cherry on top. I'm very grateful. So um it just made me think about some things, but I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna tell you that.